Hello, welcome back. Today we are going to move along with geometry and we are going to be talking about volume. Now some of this volume conversation should seem a little bit familiar, but we are going to be talking about specifically the volume of cubes, prisms, and cylinders. So I will be able to find the volume of a cube, prism, and cylinder. So for these three types of 3D shapes, we are going to use the formula V equals B, capital B, H. Now it's very, very important that you see it's a capital B and not a lowercase b. So let's go ahead and label these. So V, capital V is volume. So V is equal to, the capital B is the area of the base. So area of the base times the height of the figure. So that is what we are going to be looking at today. So here are our steps. First of all, we need to determine what shape is the base. That determines how to find the area of the base. And then simply use the formula to find the missing value, and don't forget to label your answers. So first things first, we're going to look at a cube. Now a cube's a little bit different, just because it's unique in the fact that all the sides are the same. But if we're looking at the same formula, V equals capital B times H, we're going to see that, okay, it's a square, so V is equal to, we're going to ask ourselves, how do I find the area of a square? Or how do I find the area of my base? And we're going to say length times width, or in our case, 5 times 5. And then the height of the figure, which is also 5. Okay, remember that cubes, you could have just said V is equal to side cubed, and it would have given us the same thing, 5 times 5 times 5. So we're going to say V is equal to, now we're asking ourselves, what is 5 times 5 times 5? Well, 5 times 5 is 25, times another 5 is 125. Now, this particular shape does not have a unit of measurement, so we're just going to say it is units, because that's what we say when there's none there. We just say units, and since it's volume, it's to the third power. Okay, another type of problem that you might see is if the volume of the cube is 27 millimeters cubed, what is the side length? Okay, well, there's two different formulas that you can look at. You can look at V equals side cubed, or V is equal to base times height, or area of the base times height. Well, in this case, it's easier to look at this first one because we're simply going to say, well, V, or volume, is equal to 27 equals side cubed. Okay, so now we are going to solve for this equation. So you are going to be saying, okay, well, how do I, and I put squared cubed, how do we solve for this? Well, now instead of the square root we've seen before, we're going to do the cube root, which is how you undo the cube. So S is equal to the cube root of 27. So the cubed root of 27 is 3. So one side length is equal to 3, and our unit is millimeters. And we can check our work by plugging it back into the formula. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27, so we did good. Okay, our next shape that we're going to look at is a rectangular prism. Okay, so we're asking ourselves, what is the shape of the base? It is a rectangle. How do we find the area of rectangle? Well, it's just simply base, or length times width, or base times height, however you think of it. So volume is equal to, our base times height, or length times width, is 3 times 5, and then you're going to multiply by the height. Okay, so 3 times 5, so volume is equal to 3 times 5 is 15 times 8, so 15 times 8 is equal to 120. So volume is equal to 120. Inches is our unit. And since we are talking about volume, it is going to be cubed, or to the third power. Once again, we can also find the height, or a missing value, if we know the volume. So if the volume is 130 meters cubed, So let's fill it in the formula. V is equal to the area of the base times the height. So volume is V. 130 is equal to, okay, the uppercase B, remember, is the area of the base, and the area of the base in this rectangle is 2 times 5 times the height, which is just h, times h. Okay, so 130 is equal to 2 times 5, which is 10, times h. Okay, now we divide both sides by 10, and we have h is equal to 13. So our height is 13 meters. Okay, so do you see I just plugged it into the equation, and then we solved a simplified the equation and solved it. Cylinder is the one that we haven't seen before. Maybe we might have briefly touched on it last year, but this might be a new one for us. So a cylinder, if we're thinking about it, it's the same thing. V is equal to base times height. Okay, the area of the base, well, this time it's a circle. So now we're going to say, well, V is equal to pi r squared times height. That would be another way to write the formula to find the volume of a cylinder. Okay, so now we're going to look at it. We don't know the volume, so V is equal to pi. R is 4 squared times h, which is 9. Okay, V is equal to, well, 4 squared is 16 pi times 9. Okay, and we're going to use 3.14, so V is equal to 16 times 3.14. So we have 50.24 times 9. And we have volume is equal to 452.16 meters cubed. Okay, so we're just plugging it into the formula. And once again, we can go backwards. We can find the height, or frankly, we could find the radius too. However, whatever it does not give you, you can find the other one. So volume is 602.88. Oh, let's write the formula. Volume is equal to base times height. 6022.88. Okay, remember the base is a circle, so volume is equal to pi r squared times the height. Okay, so 602.88 is equal to pi times radius squared. So 4 squared times the height, which we don't know, which is h. Okay, so now we're going to do exponent first, so 602.88 is equal to 4 squared is 16, so 16 pi times h. Okay, we are going to multiply 16 times pi. 6022.88 is equal to, we want 16 times 3.14, which is, once again, 50.24 h. Now we are dividing by 50.24. So that's going to leave us with h, so I need to plug in 602.88 divided by 50.24, which is equal to 12. So your height for this one is 12, and our unit up here would be inches. So 12 inches is our height. Okay, so anytime, as a little review, anytime that you have a prism or a cylinder, anytime that you have something that has two bases across from each other, you're going to use the formula volume is equal to the area of the base times the height. So use that new information to find the volume of both of these figures. So one of them is a cylinder and one of them is a rectangular prism. Please go back and look in your notes if you are confused, and of course I will be around to work with you in class when we work and practice on these problems. So thank you so much for diligently listening. If you have questions, please write them down so I can answer them at a later time, and I will see you later. Bye bye.